Welcome back to the Reading Corner, where I break down books in 15 minutes or less. Today, we are going to be looking at The Righteous Mind by Jonathan Haidt. This book is nonfiction, so even if you haven't read it, I encourage you to stick around and learn more about it. And there's no spoilers for you today, so this is going to be good. The Righteous Mind is about 450 pages, but don't be too scared because the last 100 pages are basically just notes on Haidt's own research. And Haidt does a lot of his own research and he uses a lot of his own studies. As is clear from the subtitle, Haidt is trying to explain why people believe the way that they do and specifically how that feeds into their politics. His main thesis is that there are 6 major moral foundations that people hold to different degrees, which affect in turn what their politics look like. However, he builds his case in phases and makes many more points along the way. Haidt begins by claiming that morality is intuitive and not driven by reason. What he means is that it is less likely for people to just come to moral conclusions by using a straightforward, unbiased reasoning than it is for people to arrive at conclusions that they more or less automatically have due to factors basically boiling down to a gut feeling. He uses the metaphor of the elephant and the rider to explain this and supports it with a variety of studies he did in which people were interviewed, and even when their beliefs were disproven by the interviewer or their faulty logic was pointed out, they still stuck to the conclusions that they had held originally. Generally, Haidt says people come to moral conclusions and then try to explain their conclusions through reasoning rather than coming up with conclusions through reasoning. In the middle section, Haidt establishes that there's more to morality than harm and fairness. What he means is that various cultures have different moral pillars that are not just centered around whether someone else was harmed in the act. These pillars are loyalty, authority, and sanctity. As an example, Haidt explains several experiments he performed in which large groups of people from different countries and backgrounds were interviewed. The interviewers asked interviewees whether specific taboo acts, which were not witnessed by other persons and didn't harm anyone else, were morally acceptable. Often people would say that the acts were immoral, though they could not provide reasons or could not say why. Haidt actually introduces 6 moral taste receptors that people hold to different degrees. These are care, fairness, loyalty, authority, sanctity, and liberty. He says that while liberals tend to draw most on care and fairness, conservatives draw on all 6 moral pillars, giving them a leg up in many elections. This is because they can appeal to more people, a broader base. In the final section, Haidt argues that morality binds and blinds, and that humans are not fundamentally selfish beings. We have evolved to have a hive switch, which can be turned on at any time, and that is valuable for our survival as a society. One thing that I thought was very interesting in the book was the final chapter entitled, "Can We All Disagree More Constructively?" Now, in this chapter, Haidt drives into the moral psychology of liberals, libertarians, and conservatives and provides his perspective on what the best points that each group makes and provides graphs of their moral matrices. To me, the graphs of each moral matrix was the best thing in the book. And as you can see, I'll show them on the screen. And as you can see, liberals most value caring for victims of oppression, libertarians most value individual liberty, and conservatives most value sustaining community and community values. And the difference in attitudes is ingrained in many of us since birth. And so once we understand that, it helps us to disagree more constructively. I'm always going to try and share one quote that stuck out for me from each book I review. For me, that's this quote from The Righteous Mind, in which Haidt is talking about how intuitions come before reason. He says, quote, "Within the first half second after hearing a statement, partisan brains are already reacting differently. These initial flashes of neural activity are the elephant leaning slightly, which then causes their riders to reason differently, search for different kinds of evidence, and reach different conclusions. Intuitions come first, strategic reasoning second." Whether or not you think you have a partisan brain, your mind immediately leans in a certain direction every time someone makes a political statement or even a moral statement. This is a concept that I could not explain quite as well without quoting Haidt, which is why I love that quote. In total, I think this was a helpful book for understanding why people hold different morals and political values. However, I did find myself wanting a little bit more, especially for Haidt to make bolder claims, which is why for my review today, I am giving this 4 stars out of 5 and an 82 on a scale of 0 to 100. Thank you guys for tuning in to the Reading Corner. I hope you learned a little something today and have a better understanding of your neighbor. If you like this video, please drop a like, as it will help the video to be shown to more people. And if you want to see more content of a similar type, please hit that subscribe button, which will show up on the screen or down below. Thanks for watching, guys.